The former home of American mobster Bugsy Siegel has hit the market for a cool sum of $17 million. The spectacular Beverly Hills mansion was bought for Siegel's mistress, but was also the site of the infamous gangster's untimely end. Let's take a look around the Grand LA manse with a grim history. Benjamin Bugsy Siegel had a fearsome reputation and was one of the founders of Murder Inc., which acted as the enforcement arm of the Jewish mob and Italian-American mafia during the 1930s and 1940s. Like Bugs Moran, Siegel was a bootlegger during the Prohibition era. He then got into gambling, moving to California in the late 1930s where he built a very large mansion. Bugsy Siegel was shot and killed 75 years ago in this Spanish colonial-style mansion in Beverly Hills, which recently hit the market with an asking price of just under $17 million. Described as a ruthless gangster responsible for much of the early development of Las Vegas, Siegel had plenty to spend on luxurious living quarters, and the late mobster's mansion boasts 7 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and is 7,100 square feet of living space. However, Siegel never actually owned the property, but instead was leasing it at the time of his death for his mistress, Virginia Hill, who served as a carrier for the mob. On the night of the 20th, June 1947, Siegel was visiting Mrs. Hill when he was shot and killed by an assassin who fired at him through the window of the home with an M1 carbine. Despite an extensive police investigation, the assassin was never identified and the case remains unsolved till this day. The home has changed hands many times since Siegel's death, but the vast majority of its character and original detailing has remained intact. The 2-story entryway stuns guests with wrought iron gates and railings, a sweeping staircase, and original hand-painted tile floors. You walk in the entry with the staircase and a balcony, and all that has been completely maintained just the way it was done in 1928, says Myra Nomad, who now holds the listing. Just off the entryway, the step-down living room boasts hardwood floors, beam ceilings, and a fireplace, while the adjoining family room offers a bar and still more beautifully painted floor tiles. A lot of Spanish homes were built in the 20s, have a musty, heavy, dark feeling, which is unlike this house. This house is full of light and has windows and high ceilings everywhere. The home's formal dining room is entered through another set of wrought iron gates and features a hand-carved covered ceiling and windows overlooking the property's half-of-an-acre park-like grounds. One can easily imagine Siegel, who had a well-known taste for Hollywood high life, entertaining his A-list guests in this stylish space. One of the few updated areas of the home is the new gourmet kitchen, which boasts a large center island, sub-zero refrigerator, stainless steel appliances, and custom countertops. White cabinetry makes the space feel bright and airy, while terracotta floors offer warmth to the chef's kitchen, as well as large adjoining breakfast room. The second-story house has 4 spacious bedrooms, as well as a master suite, which includes a fireplace, lounge area, and marble-clad bathroom. The home also boasts some exciting bonus features, including a flexible den/office space, a lofted 3rd floor with a balcony, a tower with a private room at the top, and a guest house that has a 3-car garage. In addition to his mistress mansion, Siegel also owned a primary residence located in the exclusive LA neighborhood of Homley Hills. Constructed in 1938 with the proceeds of his many crimes, sitting on a total of 2 acres, this house has 5 bedrooms, an enormous living room, an oak-paneled library, imposing dining room, and a spacious home. Siegel resided at the property with his wife and children. No expense was spared, and the house was decked out with every mod con and luxury imaginable. The grounds are equally lavish, featuring a pool and manicured gardens. The wardrobe in the master bedroom reportedly contained a secret trapdoor to the attic, which Siegel escaped through in 1940 to evade the police, who saw the ruse and arrested him for murder. Siegel was acquitted of this crime. Up next, we have Pete Corrado. Pete Corrado, who was dubbed Machine Gun Pete, was one of the first members of the Detroit Outfit or Detroit Partnership, the Midwestern city's most active mafia organization. He headed the Corrado clan offshoot from 1931 until his death from a heart attack in 1957. The mafioso lived in a 7,400 square foot mansion on Middlesex Road in Grosse Pointe Park, just outside of Detroit. Corrado made his money organizing and operating an illegal numbers racket, or so-called the Italian lottery. He also had interest in real estate and lucrative cuts in a number of profitable businesses. His Georgian colonial mansion was paid for with the proceeds of these activities. Decorated in the classic 1950s style, the mafioso mansion has a decorative tiled entrance hall adorned with a pretty fountain. Aside from the numerous reception rooms and bedrooms, other highlights of the substantial suburban property include 3 bars, a wine cellar, spa, and a pool room, as well as a bomb-proof garage. Given that this was a mob home, the property has several hidden spaces that were presumably used to hide Corrado's machine guns and other weapons. Adding to the mafia allure, a series of tunnels ran under the house, one of which connects to a mansion across the road that was once owned by Detroit outfit boss Anthony Zarelli. Following Corrado's death in 1957, the house stayed in the family and became the home of fellow gang member Anthony the Bull Corrado until 1988. It was eventually purchased by the former Detroit Tigers baseball star star, Kirk Gibson, in 1997 for $665,000. He sold the property via auction in 2015 for $715,000. Up next, we go to Albert Anastasia's house in New Jersey. The Lord High Executioner of the terrifying Murder Inc. and the boss of what would become the Gambino crime family, Albert Anastasia was as ruthless as they come. The cutthroat mafia leader is thought to have masterminded the murders of hundreds of people, making him one of the most notorious criminals in history. Anastasia lived in a Spanish-style New Jersey property from 1947 until his death in 1957. The menacing Mafia Don controlled his organization's criminal activities from this mansion and is alleged to have tortured and killed people in the house. The Fort Lee home, which is located across the Hudson River from Manhattan, has a total of 25 sprawling rooms and sits on 2 acres. The house is surrounded by high walls that were once covered in barbed wire and guarded by 2 vicious Dobermans. Along with several reception rooms, the mansion has a number of spacious bedrooms, a retro kitchen, and a glass-covered conservatory offering views of the New York skyline. Looking at this picture of the property's wood-paneled office, it's not hard to imagine the scary mafia boss sitting behind the desk with a cigar in his hand, planning his next kill or directing his soldiers to execute it on his behalf. But the office is by no means the eeriest room in the house, not by a long shot. That would be the jacuzzi room. Known in Anastasia's time as the slaughter room, it contained nothing apart from a drain, into which the blood of his unfortunate victims would flow. Anastasia's reign of terror continued until 1957, when he was gunned down while having a shave in the barbershop at Manhattan's Park Sheraton Hotel. His mansion was offloaded and passed through various owners before selling in 2017 for $6.9 million. Up next, we have Tony Accardo. Tony Accardo, aka Big Tuna, allegedly took over from Paul Rika in 1972 as the boss of the Chicago outfit, having worked his way up from small-time crook on the Chicago South Side. Like his predecessor, Accardo ended up purchasing a magnificent mansion in Chicago suburb off River Forest. Accardo lived in a colonial-style 5-bedroom house on Ashland Avenue from 1964, when he was the underboss of the Chicago Mafia, through to 1972, when he was the Don of the organization. It was built in 1963 at a cost of up to $160,000, which is around $1.3 million in today's money. Fitted out with stunning parquet flooring, intricate plasterwork, and high-end brick fireplaces, the house has all the trappings of a mafia leader's residence, aside from several legal reception rooms and bedrooms. The property has a library, cedar-lined spa, large streetcar garage, and a swimming pool. The mansion hit the headlines for all the wrong reasons in 1978 after it was burglared. Accardo was on holiday in California at the time. Not long after, the 3 alleged thieves and 4 associates were found strangled with their throats cut. Accardo was suspected to have ordered the murders, and the allegation was seemingly confirmed in 2002 by monster-turned-informant Nicholas Calabrese. Following the burglary, Accardo sold the property and decamped to a condo in the same neighborhood, before moving into his daughter and his son-in-law's home in Barrington Hills, Illinois. He died of respiratory and heart failure in 1992. As for the River Forest house, it was recently sold for just over $1.1 million. Up next, we have Vincent Palermo. Mobster turned FBI informant Vincent Palermo, aka Vinny Ocean, was the mob boss of New Jersey's crime family, inspiring the character of Tony Soprano in the award-winning HBO series. After turning in his associates, Palermo was placed into the Witness Protection Program and snapped up a gated mansion in Houston under the pseudonym Vincent Cabela in 2003. A beautiful palace, this 5-bedroom cabana property on Memorial Drive is completely over the top. Surrounded by lush gardens which boast a fancy fountain and a pool, the mansion impresses with plenty of luxurious features, from marble flooring and columns to elaborate plasterwork. Talk about furnishings fit for a billionaire, Palermo didn't hold back when it came to decorating this Houston hideaway. The main open-plan reception room boasts crystal chandeliers, expensive antique and reproduction furniture, Murano glass mirrors, plush carpets, and a fabulous grand piano. The vibe carries through into the bedrooms. The master suite is graced with solid mahogany, 4-poster bed, ornate chandelier, and a marble fireplace. The majestic home even features a lavish home cinema, perfect for watching all of the Sopranos reruns. Palermo's cover was blown in 2009 when the New York Daily News ran an expose of his new life in Houston. Several weeks later, he put the mansion up for sale with an asking price of $4 million. It failed to sell, so he took it off the market. The property was listed again in 2015 and purchased the following year for $2.9 million. We wonder if the new owners have an inkling of its shady past. Up next, we go to Al Capone's Miami mansion. Al Capone, boss of the Chicago outfit, otherwise known as the Southside Gang, made most of its money bootlegging booze. Based in the Windy City, Capone had a habit of leaving town to avoid both his enemies and the cops, and at the height of his power in 1928, he bought a spectacular villa in Palm Island in Miami's South Beach. Capone paid $40,000 for the 30,000 square foot estate, around $589,000 in today's money. Sheltered by palm trees and stunning tropical gardens, its quiet oasis away from the hustle and bustle of the mainland. The Spanish colonial-style mansion is accessed via a gatehouse at the entry gates that Capone installed himself, no doubt to keep an eye out for unwanted visitors. Home to a dazzling swimming pool, Capone paid as much attention to privacy as he did to the property's luxurious amenities. The security-conscious kingpin reportedly spent $200,000 on added extras, which is about $2.9 million when adjusted for inflation. These included the installation of 7-foot-high walls complete with searchlights, as well as a cabana and grotto. Sounds like a pretty luxurious backyard. Now decked out with stylish wood floors and white minimalist decor, it's hard to imagine what these walls may have witnessed. The gangster was at his Miami retreat when the St. Valentine's Day massacre occurred on February 14, 1929, which took out 5 members of his arch-rival Bug Moran's gang and 2 affiliate members. In May of the same year, Capone was imprisoned for 9 months in Philadelphia for carrying a concealed weapon, then jailed again for 7 years in 1931 over tax evasion charges. The former Mafia hideout, which dates back to 1922, still retains many of its original Art Deco features, including a swish powder room and tiled fireplaces. Seriously ill with late-stage syphilis, he spent the last years of his life with his devoted wife, May, at the Miami mansion, where he died in 1947. May Capone eventually sold the property in 1952. Vito Rizzuto, Montreal's Teflon Don, was the alleged boss of the Sicilian Mafia in Canada. The subject of Netflix's Bad Blood series, Rizzuto is known to be involved with the Mafia since the 1960s. He managed to evade jail until 2004. Prior to this, Rizzuto lived with his family in the plush Canadian mansion in Montreal. It's a Tudor-style 5-bedroom house situated on 1.5 acres on the street known as Mafia Row by the locals. At least 4 alleged mafiosos have owned homes on this block, including Rizzuto's brother-in-law, Paulo Renda. Needless to say, like all Mafia-connected homes, the sizable estate has plenty of high-end touches, including numerous luxury chandeliers, quality parquet flooring, Persian carpets, antique furniture, and a sweeping staircase in the entrance hall. Other selling points include a family room, bathrooms for each of the home's 5 bedrooms, 2 powder rooms, and a state-of-the-art kitchen in tip-top condition, with solid mahogany cabinets. The Rizzuto family obviously insisted on the best when it came to kitting out their home. Rizzuto was released from jail in 2012, and a power struggle for control of the crime family's operations ensued, resulting in several high-profile murders. The big boss passed away in 2013 from complications related to lung cancer, and the house sold the same year. Up next, we have Paul Rika. The brains behind the Chicago outfit for a good 40 years is Paul the Waiter Rika, successor and operated in the Windy City from the 1930s to the early 1970s. He lived with his family in this fine 5-bedroom house in the Chicago suburb of River Forest from 1938 to 1957. Rika served as an underboss to Frank the Enforcer Nitti, but in reality, he called the shots. Nitti, who suffered from extreme claustrophobia, committed suicide in 1943 after he was reportedly pressured by Rika and others to plead guilty to extortion charges to get them off the hook. Rika then took over as leader of the Chicago outfit and appointed Tony Accardo as his underboss. Like his suburban mansion, Paul Rika commanded a veneer of responsibility, but nonetheless, he was just as cruel and ruthless as the other mafia bosses. If he wanted to get rid of someone, he would reportedly whisper, "Make him go away," to one of his enforcers and consider the job done. After a day's work enforcing his iron rule, Rika would return to his well-appointed home with its 4 fireplaces, parquet flooring, handsome library, and other splendid rooms. Like other mafia mansions, the property had plenty of places to hide incriminating items, including a wardrobe that is said to have contained a secret door that leads to a concealed space. Rika was arrested in 1957 and charged with tax evasion. He was imprisoned in 1959 but only served 27 months of his 9-year sentence. When Rika died of a heart attack in 1972, his former mansion passed to a professor at the University of Illinois who sold it in 2014 for $900,000. Up next, we go to Benny Binion's house. Lester Ben, aka Benny Binion, is perhaps the most notorious mobster that Texas has ever seen. The gambling icon created a criminal empire and spent 4 decades running casinos across Las Vegas. The Texas-born gangster began his career in Dallas, managing illegal lotteries before expanding to the gambling capital of the world. When he wasn't presiding over his kingdom, the kingpin liked to lie low at Finn Castle, a remote estate in Athens, Texas. Located around 90 minutes drive from Dallas, the ultra-private estate spans 1,400 acres. It features 3 cabin-style homes, dense woodlands, and plenty of lakes. It's the perfect hidden home for a criminal to carry out his crooked career. The estate was actually owned by Binion's business partner, Dallas mobster Ivy Miller, who used the retreat to host a secret gambling society, according to Mansion Global. The story goes that Miller allegedly arranged for a rival who was encroaching on Binion's territory to be killed. This move set off a 20-year turf war, which led to plenty of grisly deaths and kidnappings. The rustic dwelling spans several thousand square feet and features light-filled and cozy living areas, complete with impressive vaulted ceilings, exposed brickwork, swaths of wood paneling, and much more. Wherever Binion went, law enforcement wasn't too far behind. In 1931, he pleaded guilty to murder by self-defense and was given a suspended sentence. Binion's crimes finally caught up to him in 1953 though, when he was found guilty of tax evasion just like Al Capone. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but he was soon out and back to his old ways. The gangster died on Christmas Day 1989, and his former gambling den was sold off in 2020 for a whopping $12 million. Alright everyone, I think that's going to wrap this video up. Like I mentioned in the beginning, follow all my social media, and also 50% of the people who watch me don't subscribe. So just, if you're watching, just click the subscribe button. It's free, it means a lot. And then an alternative option would be to become a member, which costs a couple dollars, but then, you know, I'll be calling you guys, FaceTiming you guys, you get cool badges, you get exclusive videos. I'll be making videos that I can't show, like public channel. So you guys get a ton of cool features, and by clicking here and becoming a member. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I love you guys. Thank you for the constant support. Feel free to share this video on anything, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.